glacial-clad mountain called Mount Aspiring, which incidentally you can't see it from Queenstown, or Wanaka for that matter. You normally have to walk one of the trails for about a few hours before you can see Mount Aspiring. But often you will see it on the return scenic flight, and it's quite a spectacular mountain with its glaciers and so forth. But moving on, just up the coast a wee bit further, is Westlands National Park. Now Westland National Park, the major attractions there are the Fox and Franz Joseph glaciers, of course. Some of those glaciers which flow right down into the forest, although they're melting pretty quick. And then there's Mount Cook National Park as well. So collectively all these parks join up and cover about a third of the lower southwestern part of the South Island. Now of course the Maori have been coming here for thousands of years, perhaps before Europeans arrived here and gave the fancy names to these parks, and they know it by a different name. They call it Tuahi Punamu, which means place of the greenstone, or Punamu as we call it here in New Zealand. The Punamu, which is found along the west coast of Fiordland, is a sacred stone to the Maori people. And they have exclusive customary rights. They're the only ones allowed to gather it. They use it for all sorts of purposes. No doubt you've seen the beautiful jewellery, including the pendants and some of the traditional pieces such as tiki, which they would wear to ward off evil spirits. And even more important than the jewellery, the Maori people were a Stone Age people. No access to metal and so forth, and some of the Punamu, there's a few different types, is harder than steel, and so when shaped into tools such as adzes and axes, it's a very important resource to them. And they would come far and wide from all over New Zealand to get Punamu. It would take many hundreds if not thousands of hours often to grind it down, polish it into the shapes and the tools that were required. A lot of artefacts you can view in many of the museums. I'm sure you've seen quite a few. And a lot of artefacts have been found in these areas. And I was going to say some of the trails that we use, the popular walks and so forth, many of these are in fact really ancient Maori trails. The early surveyors who came to New Zealand consulted Maori on the easiest way to get through the Alps and the various places. So they've been using the passes, mountain passes, and some of the great walks for a long time.
We're out in the Eglinton fields, grass fields, something like that. Taking a break. We're on our way to Milford Sound. Just fields and fields of grass. And lots of tourists. With bait. There's bait. For the lions that seem to skulk in the grasses. And apparently skulk in the grasses.
You didn't get to eat this flower?
We're at Mirror Lakes on the way to Milford Sound. Another short break on the coach to Milford Sound before we take the cruise. Very pretty. And some ducks in the pond. But it's a short break because we have to get back on the bus soon. And it's called Mirror Lakes because Maya pointed out the sign is upside down so that you can read it in the reflection. Trust her. very pretty walk. It's quite nice that we get to stop and walk along this way. I like it. I'm not sure whether you can see, but the water is again very clear. I can see stuff at the bottom of the lake. Another bathroom stop. So I'm taking an opportunity to record another video. Apparently this is the last stop before Milford Sound. The last toilets before Milford Sound. Those are the toilets, but they're jam-packed with people. I, for once, don't need to go. We've decided we're going to fly back from Milford Sound, so hopefully it'll be an amazing view.
What is it called again?
It's called Falls Creek.
Falls.
Oh, like Australia. Snow-covered camps. And salmon arms. We're in Fjordland already. Milford Sound.
Yeah, the further you get into Fjordland, the more extreme the environment becomes. As you can see with these very steep sheer cliffs on the sides of the mountains here. And a lot of this is due to the seismic activity, of course, the tectonic thrusting of all this land. It is some of the fastest growing land on the planet. And one thing that makes this area possible is the type of rock. This has been forced up with deep within the Earth's crust, often referred to as base rock. It's very hard and granite-like, very strong, and that enables the steep sheer-sided mountains to stand tall, and it's able to weather the storms that come through here. And the rock here is very different to the rock around the Queenstown, Otago area. Around the Queenstown area, it's mainly a sedimentary schist rock, layered schist, which is crumbly and unstable as compared to this very strong granite-like rock. Still a wee bit of debris at the base of these cliffs from the avalanches.
Another stop on the bus, which we really appreciate. It's really, really, really beautiful. By a stream, because we don't know what the stream's called. Maybe he's mentioned it, the coach driver, but I didn't hear. The rocks, the cliffs are so sheer. Apparently this is one of the fastest growing lands in the world because the tectonic plates are very active, pushing against each other. Australasia and Asia plates.
So if you have a you get out camping out there in the wilderness, you leave your true story. Recently, or a few years back, there's a couple of Austrian backpackers were camping somewhere and they came back. The Kia had got into the tent, unzipped the tent, got into the tent, unzipped the guy's rucksack, and as they were approaching their campsite, they saw the Kia running off with his wallet.
We're descending into Milford.
So the tunnel was hewn out of solid rock. The old-fashioned method of drilling and blasting, picks and shovels, and self-supporting pretty much all the way through. It was very strong rock. There was a big crack about halfway through, and during a weather event, you do get a lot of water flowing through here. In fact, it's a bit like being in the Nautilus when you go through here. I feel like Captain Nemo. But it's about 1.2 kilometres in length.
We're going downhill. Yeah, we're going downhill into Milford Sound. We were at 1,000.
And the main event for the locals in Milford is on April the 1st. They have the naked running race through the tunnel here.
Which way? Uphill, downhill?
It's downhill. Downhill. 1.2 kilometres. If you're really quick, you can do it in 3 minutes.
This is natural, you say? I mean, it's not bored. I mean, it's not bored.
Yeah, this is being drilled out. It's gouged out.
But you can see it's not. It's like, and there's no support.
This is called the Clethai Valley, folks. This is
Oh, look at that.
back, once we get round the corner here, back towards the portal entrance of the tunnel. It's about 1.2 kilometres or a kilometre or so above the tunnel to the top of the saddle. Matter of getting the sense of scale.
We just went through that. How come the cycling doesn't do it over here? The tour is New Zealand.
I don't think the tour of Southland goes down here. The cycling race.
This would be great. I mean, this is like
Where did they go from?
Now the
Well, when you cycle up
somewhere here
I mean, if I
at the
train,
top,
yeah.
towards the top of the tunnel, many thousands of years ago, there was a big glacier flowing down the hill here, and many valleys intersecting the main area, other glaciers joining up, which would have eventually carved out the fjord. Well, that's according to science, but not according to Maori mythology. Milford Sound, this area was carved by the mythological figure Tutaraki Whānoa. How the story goes, before the land was here, there was a big chief called Aoraki, and he paddled his waka, his divine waka, was the Maori canoe, with his 11 brothers to this area in the Southern Ocean. And his waka capsized and turned to stone. And Aoraki and his brothers climbed up onto the upturned hull, and they turned to stone as well, and formed the Southern Alps. And Aoraki is, of course, Mount Cook, represented by Mount Cook, Aoraki, the tallest of all the mountains in New Zealand. But it was Tutaraki Whānoa's job to create harbours for future mariners. And so he went to work with his magic stick, starting at the most southwestern point of the island and working his way up the coast. He gouged out the 14 fjords. And it is said that as he worked his way up the coast, he perfected his technique. And finally, he created his masterpiece. It's in Milford Sound. So that's the Maori legend of Tutaraki Whānoa.
Looking for wild birds, cheers and wetters. No luck. So here we are on the Milford Sound, and we're going to board this ship to cruise the Milford Sound for about 2.5 to 3 hours, going up the fjord for the sound. This is the port, and here are my people. Three masts. Oh, apparently it's got sails. And this is the cabin. The port Milford, what wanderer? Backing out and going out already. We're still in port. But I think we're just getting off, getting ready to go. Nice day. A bit cloudy, but apparently it will clear up. But look at the surroundings. Look at the vista. Amazing scenery.
From the bar, if you have any pre-ordered picnic lunches, these can be collected from the servery throughout the cruise. Otherwise, we have a selection of sandwiches, paninis, cakes, muffins and slices available for purchase. The toilets are on board the Milford Mariner at the back doors of the main saloon, to the left and the right. Now the plan for today's cruise is to make our way into the Tasman Sea, following the southern shoreline of Milford Sound. Once we get out to the Tasman Sea, we'll turn around and we'll make our way back in via the northern shoreline. Making a few stops along the way, but as I mentioned, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Other than that, sit back, relax and enjoy.
Look at this. Amazing. Look how sheer and sharp these cliffs are rising. This is amazing. And we're just out of port. It is really breezy. I'm sure you can hear it. Taking refuge in the salon, and we're out in the Tasman Sea doing a turnaround before we go back into the Milford Sound again.
Is that mine?
So that's the Tasman Sea out there.
Yeah,
All their power. So all they do is gain power, swell, wind, rain, gain of land.
Currently, we are right now on the Ring of Fire
That's
itself.
Australian plate. Ahead of us is all Pacific plate. So the Australian plate subducting, going underneath, pushing up the Pacific, making rise to these mountains. 15 million years ago, these plates collided and uplifted the South Island. Well, it uplifted the Southern Alps anyway. South Island was nowhere near as tall as it is now.
Southern state.
And the spotlight goes straight through the South Island. It is the Southern Alps have risen 20 kilometres over that 15 million years, and they're still rising. 2,000 earth movements, 2,000 earthquakes a year on that fault line.
Milford Sound from the Tasman Sea. The nearest opposite. Still very pretty. Right, really nice day.
Well, that's step above us. You can see this little water dropping off the step. Tiny, tiny. That's what vanishing falls. It should be dried out by now. So the top, where that waterfall is dropping off, top of that step, that was once the sea floor. It's risen. Glaciers have touched. What we're going to do, everyone, is stop and check out these New Zealand fur seals chilling out on the rock. They're not up to much. And they love to have a moist sleep during the day. They're most active at night time. That's when the most bountiful supply of food is closest to the surface. Every evening, a beautiful migration. The eternal struggle of phytoplankton and zooplankton. Phytoplankton, tiny plants. Zooplankton, tiny animals. They rise up, come down, activate liquid sea, eat the tiny plants. Microscopic plants. And then everything else follows.
how massive the cliffs are. Look at the video, look at the scale. See this?
We're going underneath the waterfall, everyone. This is one of the highlights of the cruise. If you're stuck inside, you're not living your life to the fullest. This is 500 feet, 150 metres of waterfall. It's glacial water. Have you ever felt the spray of a glacial waterfall? Maybe you have. Have you ever felt one in Milford? Have you ever felt glacial water from a 2,000 metre tall mountain that is the guardian of something? This comes from Takiwai, our mountain that protects us all. So this is blessed water. Get outside, take some photos, take some memories. It's awesome.
Yes, it is awesome. We're really close to it. I've got to use my wide angle. And wide angle, and I can't get the whole waterfall in as well. Oh, this ship is really close. Very close. It's amazing how close we are. I'm completely wet. Oh, we're all getting blessed. Whoa!